Hey, this is the demo for the two-color complementary palette. It starts on page 101, chapter 7, the color harmony chapter. So far I've demonstrated bridge tones, and we've created a neutral background, which is really kind of mid-value, very neutral, made from these two colors, the red and the green. And I'm going to stick with the red and the green. You can see I have a pile of fluorescent red and a little bit of naphtha, and I'm going to actually mix the two just because it's going to be fun. It's going to make it a little bit brighter. So the way this assignment works is it's a good idea if you have a filbert brush. I would use it because filberts are really designed to make circles. So we're going to be making a lot of dots, and so it'll make your life a little easier if you're using the right tool for that shape. Definitely squeeze the water out of your brush and load your brush. And I'm just going to start up here at the top. Let's consider this, this to be the top. I'm making a nice flat circle of red, and I'm going to mix a color. So I'm going to pull this out on the phone book. Gonna mix yellow ochre and teal here, because like I said earlier, I am really low on paint, so I'm just gonna use what I have here, and this teal is pretty cool. So I'm scooping this up. I'll put it here. Okay, so I'm making a nice green. So complementary colors that are across from each other on the color wheel. Consult your color wheel, pick your favorite color, and then go across that wheel. So now I'm going to load up my brush, filbert with the green, and I'm putting that here. So these are the two colors I'm going to mix and explore and create a harmonious palette from. So you're also going to use white. Let's see if I can just put white down without messing it up. There's a little bit of white with green. I'll just paint over that when it dries. Okay, so now the goal is to tint down the colors. So I already have white on my brush, so I'm just going to add white. Scoop it up, make a nice tint, put that down. Also, I'm going to tint with red. Same pile, it'll kind of like neutralize it a little bit. Ooh, that's cool. I like that. Scoop that up. It's not like a true tint of that color because there was green involved, but now the goal is to go as light as possible. So I'm really going to lighten this. Maybe go back to the little bit of the fluorescent red is great, but it definitely is a transparent color, so it doesn't it tints down very quickly. Here we go. I'm going to put this here. Okay, so now I'm going to mix the two. I'm going to take a little bit more white, tiny bit of green. If you want to do this with a palette knife, that's good. Ooh, that's cool. I'm responding well to this color. I like it a lot. Okay, so now this will go here. So now the goal is to make as many colors as you can, going back and kind of toggling back and forth. So this is just sort of the tip of the iceberg. The goal is to try to make as many colors as you can. Here's a good example of blue and orange complementary palette. Here's one where they're using earth tones. So it's definitely like a primary triad, but it's the classic palette. So it's alizarin crimson, yellow ochre, and ultramarine blue added with white to make all these. So what we're trying to do is kind of limit our choices in the service of making something that really looks good, like is harmonious. And so the way we're doing that is with bridge tones, kind of mixing. So like, look, I just dipped into my red, I'm making my green, and I've got this like very interesting, kind of went into a kind of neutral red. So it's a darker version of the color that we had before. And the same goes for the green, you know. So, you know, if you need to clean your brush, squeeze the paint off and save it. You know, that's a lot of paint that we can keep working with. So I'm going to go back into green now, add a little bit of white, and maybe like a tiny, tiny bit of the red. Kind of darken it a little bit. You know, so the idea is to sort of slow it down, get into a place where you're really, whoa, that's great. You're really trying to make as many colors as possible. The other thing is, as you're doing this, you're trying to paint it in a very flat way, which means if your paint is Artist Loft or, you know, Blick fluorescent like I've got here, you might find that some of the colors are really transparent, and in that case you're going to want to try to either butter up the paint and apply it relatively thickly, or you're going to have to paint over some of those areas.